Hey everyone, welcome back to my personal channel, Social's Awkward. My name is David Vidal, and this video is all about the ECU. Come on, let's go. The ECU is the brain of your T-Rex. Some owners elect to flash their ECU because there may be restrictions or limiters or governors on the motors set from the factory. For example, while you may have the throttle wide open, at a certain RPM, the ECU might cut the throttle back. And even though you've got the T-Rex wide open, it's not actually performing at peak. It could be the ignition timing or the throttle response. There really are several ways that the motor can be limited or governed by your factory set ECU. If you elect to do this, your ECU gets flashed by a professional who then uses a dyno to tune or retune or fine-tune your T-Rex. An ECU flash on the T-Rex is the process of reprogramming the engine control unit, which is the ECU, and you would do that to optimize its performance and potentially enhance its capabilities. It's essentially a software update that can alter the fuel delivery, ignition timing, and other basic engine parameters. Remember, the ECU is the brain of the T-Rex. It controls the fuel injection, the ignition timing, and other engine functions. An ECU flash modifies the software within this ECU, altering how the engine operates. And there are, or may be, some benefits to doing so. By reprogramming the ECU, you can fine-tune the performance, potentially increasing power, improving throttle response, and optimizing fuel efficiency. ECU flashing can also remove factory-imposed speed limits, adjust throttle response, and even alter cooling fan behavior. In some cases, flashing the ECU can be used for custom tuning, where a tuner creates a unique map for the rider's specific needs or to adjust for specific modifications. Most people who flash their ECU do so to increase power overall by optimizing fuel and ignition, and I'll get back to this point later. Another benefit is potentially making the T-Rex more responsive to throttle inputs, which can result in smoother acceleration and handling. You can actually remove factory-imposed speed limiters or even optimize performance for specific modifications like aftermarket exhausts and filters. Arguably, the best benefit of flashing the ECU is that it can address issues like harsh riding, uneven power delivery, and other annoying performance issues. In simple terms, an ECU flash allows you to optimize your T-Rex's performance by altering the software that controls its engine functions. For example, some people don't want the KTRC in any form, and rather than turning it off at every ride, they elect to flash the ECU to leave it off in a more permanent way. However, and I am quoting straight from the owner's manual, when the KTRC is off, there is no control over the rear wheel spin. Now, you might think that that's some imposed limiter and you somehow aren't getting all the motor that you paid for, but this isn't just some safety issue, although that would be enough. An uncontrolled wheel spin means slower start times. It means dragging acceleration and high-speed instability. Guys, this is a three-wheeled platform. Do we really need to make it any less stable? Truthfully, there are only certain motors that flashing the ECU will actually make a noticeable difference. Some people erroneously think that they're going to magically gain 30 horsepower when they flash their ECU, but in reality, it's closer to 5. Flashing the ECU does not come without risk. When you flash the ECU, you're essentially wiping the slate clean, or at least have the ability to. That means you can mess with fan settings, engine timing, throttle inputs, lower or increase the engine idle RPM, change or ignore input codes, and turn essential warning lights and limiters off. Which begs the question, is flashing the ECU on the T-Rex actually worth the risk? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it in the comments below. Personally, I think that 90+% of riders wouldn't even notice the difference. Think about it. If we're being honest, most T-Rex riders can't tell the difference between L3 and L2 on their KTRC and power mode settings. And you're telling me that these individuals need or understand the difference that 5 horsepower makes? Typically, you'll hear something like this. Flashing my ECU means more power, means a faster T-Rex, which means more excitement, more fun, more chicks, better bragging rights. Coming from the motorcycle world, I have seen and heard this dozens of times. Riders go out and mess with their motors, and half the time, they hardly know what for, other than just to tell other people that they did it at bike shows. I could tell you about countless times that I've outridden my compatriots while on a smaller, lesser, bone stock bike. Think about it. Big muscles don't make you a better fighter, big junk doesn't make you a better lover, and big motors don't make you a better rider. Also, consider that the engineers at Campagna and Kawasaki are trying to sell a product, an expensive product, marketed to individuals with a very specific taste. What do they gain from limiting their customers? Together, they have this motor dialed in to what they believe is perfection. You paid top dollar for this machine, so just sit back and enjoy it. Now, if you're the track guy, that is, you bought your TRex specifically for track riding, by all means, yes, flash the ECU and adjust all the settings. But if you're not that guy, if you're the casual rider, the weekend warrior, the bar hopper, the iron butt distance rider, the canyon junkie, I think you're opening up a can of worms by changing the factory settings and potentially causing major issues down the road. Even the pros on their expensive dyno machines say scary things like, well, this should work, or I think this will work, but no one actually knows what effect something as simple as changing the fuel settings will have long term. I don't know about you guys, but recently I've seen a lot of TRexes for sale, and I certainly would not entertain the idea of buying a TRex that had the ECU flashed. To me, it screams inexperience, and the potential for abuse is far too high to ignore. Maybe it was the perfect flash, maybe it was the perfect tune that was perfect for that specific guy, but there are just too many variables and too much risk. If that's not enough, I also think that wide open throttles, an unlimited tachometer, and additional horsepower is the fast track to an untimely death. Remember that nothing you add or subtract from the TRex can compensate for poor riding ability. If you want to be a great rider, a fast rider, a competent rider, you don't need to flash the ECU. You just need to get out there, put tons of miles on your machine, and practice riding in all conditions, in all situations, on every road type. And while you're at it, be nice and ride safely. I'll see you out there.